We all carry stories. Some of them are beautiful. Some are heavy. And in the world we live in today, it's become normal, almost expected, to talk about healing, to revisit your past, to acknowledge your childhood wounds, your heartbreaks, your breakdowns. But something's been lost in the process, because too often what starts as self-awareness turns into self-pity. We mistake reflection for rumination. We begin to wear our trauma like a name tag. I am this way because of what happened to me. And while your story is valid, your pain is valid, it is not the full story. So today, this isn't a video about trauma. This is a video about transformation. It's about how to stop being a victim of your past and start being the author of your future. And to help us do that, we're going to look at 4 powerful examples. People who didn't just survive their pain, they used it. Let's begin. Tony Robbins is one of the most well-known life strategists on the planet. He's coached presidents, athletes, CEOs, and millions of everyday people. Today, his estimated net worth is over $600 million. But his story didn't begin with private jets or standing ovations. Tony grew up in a chaotic and abusive household. His mother struggled with substance abuse and violent outbursts. He often went without food. At 17, after another explosive episode, he left home and never looked back. But instead of letting that experience define him as broken, he made a decision. He reframed his story. He often says, "Life is happening for you, not to you." And when you think about it, that's a choice. He could have become angry, bitter, resentful. Instead, he used the pain as fuel. He says, "If my mother had been the mother I wanted, I wouldn't be the man I am." That's the shift. Not erasing the pain, but learning from it. Another figure I find very inspiring is Chris Williamson. He is the host of the Modern Wisdom podcast, one of the most respected platforms for long-form conversation about life, philosophy, and personal growth. Since 2018, the show has been downloaded more than 400 million times. His YouTube channel now has 3.6 million subscribers. But behind that success is a quieter struggle. Chris didn't grow up with a tragic backstory. No abuse, no violence, but like many of us, he faced something just as crippling. Social rejection, identity crises, a nagging sense of not being enough. He's talked openly about feeling lost in his early 20s, playing roles to gain approval, chasing validation, constantly overthinking. He calls it emotional fog. What changed? He turned inward. He made a habit of introspection and started asking better questions. He stopped trying to be impressive and started aiming to be honest. That subtle discomfort? It became his greatest teacher. Because pain isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. And Chris listened. One of the toughest guys who inspires many people every day is David Goggins. David is a retired Navy SEAL, ultra-marathon runner, and one of the most mentally disciplined men alive. His book, Can't Hurt Me, sold over 5 million copies by 2023. But Goggins didn't just wake up one day with superhuman willpower. His childhood was a war zone. An abusive father, relentless poverty, racism, obesity, learning disabilities, fear and silence. He said he was broken, physically, mentally, emotionally. But instead of letting that become his identity, he made a brutal decision to callous his mind. Every day, he ran toward the pain. He used suffering as a training ground. And today, his message is simple. You don't need to be extraordinary to be unbreakable. You just have to stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's raw. It's not for everyone. But for those who hear it, it changes everything. And finally, Lisa Nichols is one of the most electrifying motivational speakers in the world. A best-selling author, founder of Motivating the Masses, and a self-made millionaire. But not long ago, she was a struggling single mom on welfare with $11.42 in her bank account. She couldn't afford diapers for her baby. She often cried herself to sleep, wondering if she'd ever break the cycle. But here's what's different about Lisa. She didn't just dream of a better life. She made a vow to herself that her son would never see her quit. She used her lowest moment as the beginning of her rebirth. And now, she teaches others to do the same. Lisa doesn't say, "I had it worse." She says, "I found something in the worst." She says, "Your story is not meant to be your fortress. It's meant to be your fuel." So how can you reclaim your story today? Let's talk about 3 ways to begin. 1. Start with gratitude. Not for the pain, but for the strength it gave you. Think about it. You survived every single hard day you thought would break you. You're still here. Be grateful for that. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything's okay. It's about noticing what is okay. The people who stayed, the lessons you learned, the fact that you now see the world more clearly than before. Gratitude reframes everything. It shifts you from "why me" to "what now?" 2. Change your internal language. Instead of saying, "I was damaged by my past," say, "I was forged by it." Every time you repeat a limiting belief, you reinforce the wound. But when you choose empowering language, you rewrite the narrative. Instead of "I'm broken," say, "I've been through hell, and I'm still standing." Your words are your blueprint. So speak like someone building something beautiful. 3. Focus forward. You cannot heal by standing still in your past. You heal by moving, by creating, by stepping, however small, into the life you want to live. Set tiny goals. Find tiny wins. Stack them. Don't wait for full clarity. Take aligned action. Healing isn't just about introspection, it's about momentum. Look, you don't need to erase the past. You just need to stop bowing to it. Because if you zoom out far enough, you'll realize something. You're not broken. You're becoming. You're a survivor, a creator, a soul that has already risen through so much more than most people will ever know. I wouldn't go back and repeat my hardest days, but I also wouldn't trade them for anything, because they shaped who I am. And maybe you feel broken today. Maybe you're still in the middle of it all. But one day, you'll look back and see that your pain wasn't the end of you. It was the beginning of power, of compassion, of purpose. So, from here on out, stop waiting to be rescued. You are not a victim. You are the author now. And the story? It is still being written.